All right, so thanks for coming, everybody. I'm super excited for, this is our second Accelerate Alumni Success Story. So we kind of created this to give everybody the opportunity to learn from somebody who was just recently in your shoes, has walked in your shoes, and has been able to gain traction and get their business up and running, so that you can, as you are doing the same thing and working through that, have somebody to learn from and bounce questions and ideas off of and get some feedback from. So a little bit about Eileen. Eileen Voyles is from our Hershey office. So she's been attending our Harrisburg Accelerate Center, and with her is Bill Malloy. Bill is our Director of Career Development for the Harrisburg Accelerate Center. Eileen has closed 11 transactions within a 13-week period. So if you do the math there, that's almost a commission check every single week within that 13-week time frame. Part of the piece of why I wanted to have Eileen on here is the last time we had Anne-Marie, and Anne-Marie got up and running within like 3.5, 4 months, and very, very quickly. And I know that's not the same story for everybody on here. Some of you, it's taken a little bit longer to get up and running. It did take Eileen a couple months to get up and running, but as soon as she did, she took off like crazy, as you guys have heard from the 11 transactions in that 13-week period, which was amazing. She's really excelled in her FSBO and Expired prospecting. I had the opportunity to hear her. I don't even know if she remembers that, but we had Jim Spagnolo doing a prospecting and action session with some of the brand new agents that had just started, and he kind of planted, I think, I don't know if she knows that, but planted Eileen into that session, and she came in to that room and started calling FSBOs. In her dialogues at that point, it was very clear to me that she'd been practicing her scripts, because she had at that point had some very, very smooth dialogues, and the agents were learning from her by having that session and doing it with her as she was participating. So has definitely excelled in FSBO and Expired prospecting, listed 11 properties in 11 months for FSBOs and Expireds, and also has embraced video and social media marketing to promote herself and her listings. That's a little bit about Eileen. I'm going to zip it and let Eileen kind of share her story, and kind of also lean on Bill, who knows Eileen and her journey much closer than I do, because he's been working with her. So you guys go ahead and take it from there.
Well, if I can step in first before Sure. Eileen starts talking, actually update to her numbers. She's actually up to 13 listings at this point, 12 successfully closed. 7 of those are her listings, and 5 on the buy side. So as you were saying, not uncommon for new agents, a little bit of a slow build up. All that prep work she was doing all along paid off, because once she got her first closing at the end of May, in June she had 6 more closings, and it's just continued to roll since then. So with that, Eileen, what is it you think is bringing that success level? What is your daily routine like? What are you doing on a regular basis to find these clients?
Okay, so my one-word answer to that is Bill Malloy.
I won't take credit for that. You're the one doing that work.
He's been invaluable. I could not have done it without the help of him and my DO, Jim Spagnolo. So very, very grateful for that. So I guess my story starts with, I come from a PR background and had just a small home business that I was really happy with for about the last 5 years, and kind of came to a crossroads, I guess last fall. And I had my real estate license, and you know, I was kind of thinking and praying about what I ought to do, and the thought real estate just came to my mind, and I was like, oh, wow, really? Okay. And so I went into it, and I just listened to people. I went to Bill's training, and you know, they tell us what to do, and I just did it. And I would say for the first 3 or 4 months, well, I got my license. I mean, I went through Bill's training in October of last year, but I was still kind of looking at some other job offers, and really wasn't all the way both feet until January. So Anyway, I just did the stuff that they told me to do. And I felt for 3 months like I was pretending to be a real estate agent. You know, I'm making calls and doing this and just like pretending to be a real estate agent. And then all of a sudden I was one, because I had real clients and real listings and everything. And yeah, I did a lot of note writing. I still try to do that to the expireds and for sale by owners. I'm not afraid to, if I see one, I'll walk up and I'll knock on the door, and that's been successful.
And do you have any type of regular thing that you say to them or approach that you use with those for sale by owners?
Okay, so yes, I do. And I'm going to give you guys a trade secret. But here, this is what I do. Okay, so a really good experience I had with a FSBO. It was in my neighborhood, and I just walked up, knocked on the door, and she, you know, it was like 7 o'clock. She was in her pajamas. But I said, hey, I saw your, you know, for sale by owner, and I'm a real estate agent, and I have printed out for you what's called a competitive market analysis. And I'd like to give it to you. I think it'll help you in what you're trying to do. And she said, oh, wow, why don't you come in? And so I did, and I walked her through it. And then she was kind of like, well, what do you think I could get for the house? And I said, what are you asking? And it was $25,000 less than I knew she could get if it would show well. And I told her that, and she said, well, what would I need for it to show well? And so I walked through, and I was very blunt. And I said, you need to get rid of that and that and that and that, and you need to paint this room. And we went all through her house like that. Anyway, they worked for 2 weeks, and they're not young people. I mean, it was a lot of work, and it was hard for them. But they sold their house. I think they made $38,000, more than they thought they would.
So you truly did them a service by netting them significantly more than they would have on their own as a for sale by owner.
Absolutely.
And that is common.
Well, and the thing is too, I think that, so my little tagline is, it's cheesy to some, but it's meaningful to me. And it's you know, Eileen Voyles, realtor, making your life better. And so honestly, every client I have, every deal I do, my goal is that their life is a little better because they know me or they worked with me. I've made Bill's life probably worse. That's cool.
Not at all.
But anyway, and so when I approached her and I said, I want to help you, I really meant it, whether I get the business or not. And actually, I haven't talked to you about this, but another neighbor, we talked in February. That's when I was pretending to be a real estate agent and had like a listing appointment with her. And we kind of walked through, her house was immaculate, but walked through what she would need to do to list it. And February, we talked a little through the summer. And then we were sitting on a neighbor's porch just about 3 weeks ago. And she said, yeah, Eileen, you're not going to like this. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to go for sale by owner. And I was like, cool. You know, no problem. And I said, I will help you in any way. I will bring you over a packet of information so that you can figure out what to list your house. And I did that. And then she called me a day later and said, this is just so confusing. I don't know what to put it at. Can you come over? And so I got the listing, and we just sold her house in 2 days, fist pump. Didn't get multiple offers, but it was a great experience, and she's so happy. And literally, I texted her after I left that appointment, and I knew it had gone well, but she didn't say right then, I'm going to list with you. I texted her back because she had run the numbers that it was going to cost her $17,000 to go with me. And I texted her and said, it'll be the best $17,000 she ever spent.
Great response.
And so she called me the next day. So like, I am out there legit to help people. I'm also not afraid to be pretty bold.
And so again, that was another lead that was from door knocking in your own neighborhood?
Not door knocking, just be a friendly neighbor. So we have talked about FSBOs and expireds, but literally my wheelhouse is my center of influence.
Okay.
And so neighbors, friends, colleagues, well, not colleagues here, but old colleagues, church. That's where I really, plan. That's where I think a third so far, but it's going to be more going forward because kind of the word's out a little better now. But anyway, that's where the bulk of my business comes from.
And so when you approach your sphere of influence, again, do you have a particular type of conversation you have with them?
That's a good question. So I send my newsletter out to like 200 people every quarter, actually 5 times a year. That's my goal. So they all know I'm in real estate. And I guess I hope that people know me, like me enough, or think that I would be a decent person to work with, so that when they have their house go for sale or they need to buy, they call me, I mean, I might not have a real estate, I have not had real estate conversations with a lot of my center of influence that have hired me. But I think, just...
It's more relationship building and reinforcing those relationships that you already have, which then leads you into the ability to work with them on real estate.
It'd be kind of like, Bill, well, you did AV before, right? And so they know you as a smart guy that does AV, and now you've got your real estate license, you're sending out a newsletter. Oh man, Bill's in real estate. He'd probably be pretty good at that. I'd love to work with him. I got to sell my house, right? That's probably pretty normal.
Yep. And that's what it is about, is again, rebuilding or continuing to build those relationships that you already have with people. It's not always an immediate launch into a conversation about real estate. What about social media? Are you using that to reach out to your SOI or new clients?
Yeah, I love that question because I kind of wanted to touch on this. As you guys know, being a real estate agent, I mean, we have like 100,000 different ways we could market, right? And so social media being one of those, and there's 20,000 ways within social media we can do things. I'm a firm believer that you do what you like what's authentic to you. And I may, others may disagree. Others may take the approach, well, there's certain things that work. I do agree with that, but I do feel like everybody has something out of all those choices, 5 or 6 things that are very palatable to them and maybe even fun, that can get them business in a very, very authentic way. And so my feeling is that you pick those 5 or 6 things that you like and that work for you and that you can do consistently. So for me, social media, yes, I make videos of the homes that I do and I post them. And yes, I post, when I have a sold sign, I'll post it and I'll say, so happy and grateful to be able to work with Doug, and he's moving on to a new life, and I'm happy to be able to help him. Anyway, I do that, but as far as paying for things and getting in the technical stuff, not my wheelhouse. I'm not good at it. I don't do it. I do 5 other things that I love to do.
That's great. So you do pictures with the clients when you close a deal. That's a relatively regular post you do.
I don't know. It just depends on the client.
Okay. You do videos for most of your listings.
I do videos for all of my listings. Yeah.
And what do you typically do in the content for those videos?
Okay. So another thing that this is spurring this thought. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I wanted to tell new agents too that everything that you have learned in your former life, you will use in real estate. And I think that's a beautiful thing. What I do, so I worked for a company where I did PR and marketing for them, and they make underwater treadmills. And part of my job was to get people to go on camera in their bathing suits and talk about their therapy experience like that. And they never want to do it. And these girls I worked with like, yeah, we can't get them to do video. So I would just be like, hey, Bill, you love this? Okay, go ahead and tell me what you like about it, and made it kind of fun. And so they didn't have a chance to say no. So I did that in a previous life. Now you come to real estate, people don't want to be on video. One of the first listings I had, I knew I wanted to do a video about the homeowner talking about what he loves about his home. And I'd mentioned it in the listing appointment, and they're like, oh no, we're not doing a video. That's your job. If you want to do a video, you're on we don't have to talk about that now. It's okay. And so then when we came to take the pictures, I'm like, okay, you ready to do the video now? It'll be so painless, 5 minutes tops. And he goes, okay. And so I knew what he loved about the home, what he was passionate about. And so we just did those things, the garage they had built, the kitchen they had put in, the patio that he had fixed up, and the garden. And it was a one take, and I'm like, just let him talk. And he didn't really have the chance to say no. I forget what your question was.
No, you covered it.
Well,
And
one thing I want to point out is the difference in the type of video Eileen just talked about. Like, I think a lot of times when we think social media and we think videos for listings and new listings, it's the house. Like, we're just talking about the house. And I think what we sometimes forget is the people. The people are the most important part of it. And out of a lot of things that Eileen keeps saying is I don't push real estate. I focus on the relationship. And I think that's one way that she continues to keep her centered and focused on the people and the relationship instead of the real estate and selling the property. Because when you're on social media as a consumer and putting yourself in the consumer's shoes, they don't always care about real estate. But at one point in time, if they haven't already, they know they're probably going to be buying and selling a house. So hearing somebody else's story and their point of view on that experience, I think is something they can relate to even when they're not thinking about buying and selling. So that's just something I really honed in on that, Eileen, you're doing, and I feel like you're doing really well. And it's kind of a little bit of a different perspective than I think a lot of people have. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. What else?
you were mentioning earlier that in your listing appointment, you mentioned the video. They didn't want to do it originally, but the fact that you were talking about using video to help promote the house, did that make a difference to the sellers typically as an additional step you were taking?
I love that question. It can, but it doesn't always. And I feel like it's either been you and I talking about it because you did so many listings, or it was a podcast, but you have to know who you're talking to and what they want. For example, another new listing I have right now, he's the CFO of a big company. They just built a house, moved in November, and they have to sell it now because they closed up shop here and he's going to Kansas. Okay. And so it's a big, beautiful home, and I'm in there, and I knew I had the listing because they're friends, and they said, we want you to sell your house our house when can you come over? So I'm not competing. But anyway, when I was there with him, I wanted to impress him on all the stuff I do. And so I'm launching into, well, I do this EDDM in the neighborhood where everybody gets, this postcard on your listing. I do videos. I literally, like, his eyes are like rolling back in his head. And I'm thinking about it later. He doesn't care. The company will cover any cost he loses. He could probably go buy 5 more houses without selling this. He doesn't want me to sit there and tell him about video. But other situations, how about Doug, who lived in Harrisburg, and his house was worth $162, and he has to sell it so he doesn't have to make 3 more mortgage payments. Does he want to hear every darn thing I'm going to do to market his house? Yes. So it depends.
Okay. So additional marketing that you do, you mentioned you do the postcards within the neighborhood.
Yeah, I was going to show, am I on? Like, can they see this?
Absolutely.
So Jim made me do this. He wanted me to do a postcard. I've committed to do a postcard for every listing and every sold. And then this was a conglomeration of some of the stuff that went this summer. But actually, this has gotten a great reaction. I've had everybody I'm running into, well, not everybody, but I probably had 10 friends, colleagues, whatever, say, man, I got your postcard. That's crazy. You're doing really well. So I like that piece.
So that is a postcard that has multiple listings that you've had that have sold?
Yeah, it just says sold this summer. Okay. But I love this size postcard. It takes a real stamp. Like I didn't get a break, but postcards are like real postcards are teeny, and I don't. Anyway, I'm going to do one of this size for every just listed and just sold.
Okay. And so if that's a regular item for you, do you now have a general marketing budget that you're projecting over your next year of business?
I think we'll work on that together.
Okay.
I've just kind of, I will tell you guys this though. Okay, again, previously in a former life, I had a pizza place. My husband and I, it was horrible, horrible experience. And we blew through tens of thousands of dollars like that. And a lot of it was marketing. And anybody that came through our door, it's like if the idea sounded good, we're like, yeah, we need that. Yeah, $800 a month for an ad in your magazine. Yep, sign us up. And I mean, we had that thing for like, I don't know, 6 years. Maybe 1 month we made money. It was really a nightmare, honestly. But what I learned from that is like we had to scale down so much budget and just do the 3 things that actually brought in revenue, and everything else was a no. And so when I got into this business, like I don't pay for leads. I don't even have a nice website yet. I don't have anything that I don't have to have right now. And when I have money in my account, because I had a really awesome closing or 2 or 3 or whatever, I buy postcards. Okay. I spend for my newsletter. I buy stamps. So that will change. I'm going to get a good website. I'm going to spend the $60 a month. But I have been so hesitant to spend money. And you could say, well, that's not good, or you can say that's good, but that's where I'm at.
Again, until you're actually generating income, it's hard to justify spending anything on marketing.
Because, well, hang on, it's like $2,500 just to be an agent, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to make that first. That was my feeling. Like, and if I just suck at this, then I'm out $2,500. And I'm not committed to all this, that, and the other. That was kind of my thought, and I still feel that way, honestly.
So you're finding the postcards are very effective.
I think so.
The videos, you're getting a good response from those, both from your sellers and how about other agents, buyers, general public? You getting a response on your Facebook page when you run the videos?
Yeah, kind of. The only thing I care about with the videos, this is my philosophy with the videos. I do them because I don't think they sell the house. I think they sell the house better. Meaning that I feel like they're not going to work for every house, but the houses they do work, they really work, because when you watch the video, you are already going to go see the house, or you've already seen the house, and you maybe like the house, but it makes you like the house better, and it gives you an emotional attachment to it. And that just happened to me yesterday. This one I have in Annville. The people already saw it, and then they saw the video, and they said, that just makes me want the house more.
Very good.
Yeah. I think that's part of that, and Trina commented and used the word authentic, which I liked. So I think it's because part of that emotional connection and it feeling authentic is because it's coming from the seller that's talking about it. Jackie had asked a question. Are you using Videolicious to do your videos, or just the video on your phone? What are you using to do your videos?
I use iMovie. I never learned Videolicious. I think it's cool though, but I already knew how to do iMovie from my iPhone. So
okay.
Yeah, it's a good question.
So a little different twist to the conversation. Then again, once you started with your first closing, you closed 6 transactions in June.
Yes.
How did you stay on top of all the details? And how was that workload? Is that a workload level, 6 in 1 month, that you see as a doable thing for the long term?
Okay. Great question. And you know the answer to this, I think. Okay. So if you know anything about the disc profile, and you do, Jen, and I think other agents do, I'm like literally -C. I'm like off the charts I, midway D, high S, and negative C. So but I know that. I know it. And I knew, in real estate, okay, I had read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I've read it like 3 times because Bill told me to. And I knew that I would hire an assistant as soon as I got busy. And I had told my friend, look, I'm going into real estate. I will hire you when I get busy. I think it'll probably be in a year. So just kind of be ready. Okay, cool. And so it was April, and I called her. I'm like, Terry, you have to come on now. I'm getting busy and I need your help. And I know her wheelhouse, and she's super organized and she's super smart. And so we literally kind of learned it all together. And now I have her in place. And so I think moving forward, I can, double. I'm going to get to the end of the year and then set goals. But just generally, I think I can double whatever I do this year because I have her and because I have stuff under my belt. Part of that question you asked was getting really, really busy. And I did want to touch on this. I hope it's okay. It's maybe off the radar a little, but okay. So there's a book called How Will You Measure Your Life? And somebody just told me about it. I read it. It's Clayton Christensen, and he was a Rhodes Scholar and a Harvard Business School student, and then grew to be a Harvard Business School professor. And he said when he was a Rhodes Scholar in England, he spent an hour every day amidst all of his studies to think about and to study and ponder what he wanted his life to be about. And that he did that, and it changed his life. And he not only had business goals, he had personal goals and family goals and stuff. And then when he would go back to reunions with his class at 20 and 30 years, he saw most of them, bad marriages, hard marriages, divorces, estranged from their children. And he thought to himself, every single person at Harvard Business School is a very motivated, goal-oriented person. And how did these goal-oriented people end up there when surely that wasn't their goal? And so he said it's because they didn't have the rudder of what they really stood for and how they wanted to measure their life. And so he said that is the most important thing I ever teach to any student is to decide. And I will tell you that I have a very happy life and a very fulfilled life. And real estate is part of that. Real estate is not my life. And for several months there, and Bill knows because I was shooting him stuff at 3 a.m, there was a good 8-week period where I was literally up as soon as I could be up, as long as I could be up. I was up at 5 and to bed at midnight, and it was all real estate all of the time. That is not what I want my life to be. And so I have to have, you hear it all the time, but I would just tell everybody, decide what real estate is going to be for you. And make it that, and reflect on that, and make sure. I have friends who their whole life has changed, the whole trajectory, and I don't necessarily mean in a positive way, because they found success, and then that became their life. And I'm not willing to let that happen, and I just think we should all decide.
So on that subject, again, you've been building up business. June was, I'll say, excessive for you. Your first few deals in with an extremely heavy workload.
Yeah.
So are you finding a good balance at this point between maintaining that level of business, but also having a personal life?
And I was very grateful, honestly, that it kind of slowed down like after July. I mean, my parents were sick. I needed to go out there. We need to be able to do stuff like that. And and now I have these deals under my belt. I think things will come twice as easy as they have. And then with Terry in place and whatever other help I need, I'm just going to get the help so that I can be really, really successful and still really, really hit my personal goals.
And so you said you're not a C. Not necessarily a detailed-oriented person or a process follower yourself, but do you have any kind of a general daily routine of what you do for prospecting?
Yeah, I actually love doing expires. I love writing. I know you don't write a handwritten note. I think you told us like you can't, like physically. But
my handwriting changes about 3 different times in 4 inches of writing, so no.
I love the handwritten note. And okay, so I had an intern all through the summer, and that's what I put her on. I gave her like 3 different dialogues to write on the notes, and she handled that when I was so busy. Well, she's gone now, and so I haven't written a note for expireds for a week and a half, which I should. I mean, when I was that part at the beginning of the year, I was prospecting between 8 and 10. So I didn't mention that. I did have kind of a concrete thing I would
a time
come in.
block
I blocked
specifically
it out.
for your prospecting.
And I know that you have to do that. And so that's some help that I'm going to need. I'm kind of like, do you guys know, like with personal finance, like you have to have a budget. And anybody that's going to tell you like, oh, I'm a free spirit, I don't need one, like that's baloney. But like, that's where I stand on my time. I'm kind of like, oh, I'm a free spirit, like don't pin me down. But I know it's just BS. And I know I need to do it. And so, you know, that's help that I need. I got to figure out. But it's like I always want to be available for if my mom calls or my kids call. So what if they call at 9, but I'm blocked out 8 to 10? So I don't know. I got to figure that out.
I'm going to follow up on something you mentioned there. You had an intern.
Yes.
How did you get your intern? What did you have them help you with? And what did it cost you, if anything?
So it was just a huge blessing. She was a friend, and she's like 40 something, and was back in college, and part of graduating she needed an internship. And she's a mom, and everybody, you know, as honestly, she begged me to let her intern because she just needed the experience, and nobody wanted to take her in an office where her schedule was sporadic. I'm like, I don't care. And honestly, when we just were talking one day and it came out that she needed it, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm a business owner. You need to help a business. And I was not busy yet. This was like beginning of May. And I'm like, you can work for me. And she goes, what will you have me do? I don't know, but I will have you do something. And so it turned out she did the expires. She did research for me for actually a column that comes out today and a seminar I'm doing. And what else did she do? Just some stuff in the database and spreadsheets. I could have had her do tons more. And actually, she's going to get her license, and she will eventually be in the Camp Hill office.
So again, the tip there that if you're getting busy, you need some help with a workload, and you're not in a position to hire an admin, check your local colleges to see if there's a business student that needs credit, and you can get an intern for no additional cost.
Or call me, because the school that she goes to, I'll hook you up with an intern. But sometimes you need to pay them. Like my son goes to the same school. He had I made thousands and thousands of dollars. He went to Orange County. His was paid. So it has to be, you know what I mean? It's not, I was very,
so it
very
won't
blessed.
always be free.
It won't always be free, but it might be, and it might be cheap. But it was good.
So Eileen, a couple questions that came in about expireds. Where do you find your expired leads? What's your strategy? What's your process? And if you have any specific dialogues that you're using.
Sure. Okay, so like I said before, should I talk to the camera or talk to Bill? Okay.
Mix it up.
Okay. All right. So for expireds, again, I don't pay for anything. I know there's stuff out there, but I literally just go into Bright and see what's expired for the last day or two. And then I look through those and I decide which ones I would want. And I write them a note. And I just say, I'm an expert in relisting houses. I have a 12-point marketing plan. I would love to sit down and help you. And that's basically it. And then I like throw in my newsletter.
And so that's a handwritten note in your newsletter that you mail to them.
Yeah, I just mail, and that's it. And so, I guess it was a meeting in my office, and Jim, how do you follow up? What's your system with that? No system. That's it. I can't handle. Yeah, I can't handle a whole follow-up system on that. It's a one and done. If they call me, they call me. If they don't, they don't. But I've had 3 listing appointments for those. 1 sale, 1 is still for sale, and the other one, it was just my neglect that I didn't get. I had the deal, and it was $1 million home, and it was a hard to sell $1 million home, and I wasn't that excited about it, and I didn't do well with the follow-up, and he ended up with somebody else. But I'm kind of like, I don't know.
You followed up to see if it is sold with that other agent?
Yeah, and it's not, and I still text him because we're buddies now because we met, and but it is what it is. I think it's meant to be. But anyway, yeah, I love those.
So you had said that you look them up in Bright and then you choose which ones you want to pursue. How are you basing that decision?
Yeah, good question. Location, just mainly location. And then I really don't want to do something that's $46,000. Yeah, so just location.
Okay.
I'm comfortable. I'm not going to do Shippensburg or really even Lidditz, Lancaster. I don't know those areas at all. Pretty comfortable with a lot of Dauphin County, and then pretty comfortable with Lebanon County, parts of Lancaster County.
Okay. And then what are some things that you write about in your newsletter? Can you kind of give us an overview of what that looks like?
I brought one. So, okay, you guys know we have an awesome template for a newsletter. And I I was so excited to see it, and I was going to use it, but then I realized I just want to customize too much. Again, that's just me. The rest of you could hate that. I love to do this. And I actually spend an entire day doing this, but again, I love it,
A day for each newsletter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, this is my newsletter, and it's just 1 page front and back. I have a little letter from the editor, which is me. That's the editor. And then this is a little article on my upcoming seminar. This is an article about how the market's slowing down. And this is an article, about my daughter who is serving a mission trip in Peru. So who cares about my daughter in Peru, right? But
some people that you've built relationships with.
I know. And the lady that's drinking her coffee and has 10 minutes to sit down and will actually look at this. Yeah, because I don't know. And so most people are not going to do that. I'm going to do that.
I think people will. So people do Christmas cards, and personally, my favorite Christmas card that my family receives every year is from my aunt, who hand writes her. She fills up the whole card. She needs to just get blank cards because there's no room. But she fills up the whole card with an update on how every single one of my cousins is doing, how every single one of their kids is doing, any major vacations they did as a family. It's my favorite card because you don't get to see them very often. You love knowing what's going on with them. And when your sphere of influence is your sphere of influence of people that your family, your friends, previous coworkers, and you've built the relationship, it's one way for them to feel like they still get updates with you and your family and your life and what's going on. And it keeps them feeling like they're connected. So
yeah.
Who's interested is definitely the people you're relationship building with.
Right.
Your INS type personalities, it's who you know that's important to the I, and the S wants to know more about you to be able to trust you. So mixing up what's in the newsletter is brilliant.
Yeah, and then concrete data for the D's and the C's.
D's and the C's.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, again, not for everybody. I love doing it. Oh, and I was going to say, and it's not my idea. I mean, I had a mortgage lady when we lived in Tennessee that did a bunch of rental properties for us, and she sent out this newsletter that talked about her family and her kids that I didn't even know, and we got that thing for 10 years. Literally, I don't know these people, but I would not throw the thing away. And if I was on a road trip, my husband's driving, it was like I had to pull it out and see what Lindsay, who I didn't even know, was doing. And so I'm like, I don't know, but I'm a high ass, you know. So
and that is the point, is people will feel they know you and therefore trust you because of what you've been sharing all this time. Now, do you share the same kind of things on your Facebook page? Do you mix it up in the same way?
Well, so I have a personal one and a business one. I don't do that much with the business one. My personal one, I have been cognizant not to make it all real estate. I tend to not do Facebook very much at all, either looking or posting. But I know that, like, I am excited when I get a sold and I want to post that, but it's like, I don't want my personal Facebook to be all real estate. Then, like, who cares?
That's what the business.
And so then I do, like, I'll post something about Lindsay, or I'll post like, oh, I saw this really cool quote. So it's making me like post more just real life stuff so that my real estate is more scattered in. That's just how I'm comfortable. You brought up trust. I have to share a quote with you from Lou Holtz that I have had up in my office. He says that the only reason people are going to go with you, he's talking to salespeople, but you know, that's us too. And he says it's because they trust you, they know that you care about them, and they know that you are good at what you do. For me, that really sums it up with the 3 pillars that I need to have happen. So hopefully, hopefully something like that. And you guys can do, whatever works for you. I think that comes in many, many forms. So that's just what I think.
Eileen, can you talk to us about your 12-point marketing system?
I can't rattle off the 12.
Okay.
I have that somewhere. The thing is I write that, but they never, ever, ever say, I want to see the 12 points. That's the secret. So anyway.
It sounds very dynamic.
I know. And it's not 14 because that's too much and 10's too little. So anyway, no, but I do have that written down somewhere. But I mean, no, I do stuff. I mean, I do the videos, EDDMs. I haven't done that for every house. The 12 points gets modified. We start at 12 and then we decide what we want. But if you guys don't know, so it's really, really cool. Our United States Postal Service, you can send out stuff per carrier routes and zip codes. And it's really price efficient. And it's a huge piece. I mean, it is like this big, this big, huge postcard that goes out. And yeah, you just you send it by the carrier route you want. So anyway, I do that.
Again, that was the just listed and sold?
No, those ones are like, if I have a listing, I'll send it to that neighborhood, like the carrier route of that neighborhood, or maybe another couple of them. So like not the whole zip code. So, and that's to tell all the neighbors what it's listed for and that it's my own.
Okay, so we just listed type postcard.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the neighborhood, yeah. Yeah, the 12 points are really, you guys could write down 12 points that you do too. Sorry. Anything else? Okay.
How have your goals changed? When you originally got into the business, did you have any specific goals at that time? And have they changed now that you've got a little experience behind you? What are your goals for next year? You mentioned earlier you wanted to double your business.
Well, I want to wait till the end of the year and see. Okay, I did have a goal. I absolutely did have a goal, and it was to help 16 people or families in a transaction. 16. And so my DO said that's reaching a little far. So maybe we should scale that back, which is cool. I totally understand that. He didn't want me to set myself up for failure.
Well, you've got 12 closed already with the 13th pending right now, and you've got a week to go.
No, I will hit the 16th. And I knew, I just, didn't give up on that. And then anyway, I will hit the 16. And it was a goal that I felt really good about. I knew it was stretching. And so I'll get to the end of the year and then figure out what I really feel good about that. So yeah, I just stay positive. Can I share a story?
Please.
That doesn't really have to do with anything that's been asked, but I think it's really, really important. It was a huge lesson to me. I won't share all the details of the transaction, but it was one of my first, and you guys will like this. So I got a contract on a listing, and I was really excited. I had a ton of company in town. It was just a really busy time, and I went over to present it to the sellers. And we went through it, and they decided to take it. And so we were really excited. And then, lots of stuff happened, and the buyers went with their agent through the house for the final walkthrough. And there were a lot of twists and turns in this whole transaction. The people really couldn't afford to buy the house. They were going USDA. And it was just a huge mess. And anyway, finally it came to the final walkthrough, and the agent texted me afterwards. He said, everything looks great, but where's the washer and dryer? And I couldn't get to Dotloop fast enough to look up the contract, and oh my gosh, it says in the contract the washer and dryer stays. And so I went over to my client, and I'm like, Drew, I know you left the fridge, and I'm like, and I just had to be totally honest with him. And I said, did we talk about you leaving the washer and dryer? And do you remember this? He goes, no, we would have never agreed to that. Our washer and dryer was a gift from my boss. It's like sentimental. And I am dying. I am dying. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get out of it? Well, then there's other twists and turns. And it came to where the people screwed up with the mortgage, and they couldn't move in when they had 20 people coming to help them move. And they begged me to ask my client to let them move in a day early, which was against my better judgment because they had been flaky. But they asked, and he said to me, Eileen, just between you and me, it's more important for them to move in early. We'll forget this whole washer dryer thing, because I was going to have to buy a new washer and dryer. It was on me. We'll forget this whole washer and dryer thing if you can just get them to let these people move in. What do? So I was tempted for a minute to kind of sell it to my clients. Now, as a real estate agent, this ask was made, so it's my obligation to present it. And I did call them, and I said, they're asking to be able to move in. It's against my better judgment, but I'm presenting that to you because they asked. And the wife pipes up and says, no problem, let them move in. Because they're going to pay him a few $100 to do so. And I'm like, really, Megan, are you sure? She goes, no problem, we could use the money, let them come in. And I was like, okay, are you sure? And so they did. And then a couple weeks later, or no, it was a couple of days later, we're driving to the closing, and Drew, the guy, the husband, he called me because we were good friends now, and he knew I was buying a new washer and dryer. And he goes, hey, whatever happened with the washer and dryer? Did you have to buy it? And I told him, no, because Megan said we'll let them come in. They said, you don't have to buy it if we move in early. I said, I would have never sold that to you, but because she was so excited to have him come in, it all worked out. And he was so happy. But can you guys imagine if he would have asked that question and then he knew that I called and had talked them into that precarious situation?
Yeah, I think you, because you delivered it with the integrity and the best interest of your clients, I think that made the difference. But I also think a really important piece of that is you knew the motivation. You knew, you took the time to find out what did we discuss or not discuss with the washer and dryer? But the most important piece of it is you ask the why. Why is the washer and dryer a big deal? Why do you want to keep this washer and dryer? And you understand that personal connection to it. I sat in a negotiation class yesterday for 7 to 8 hours, and I got a lot out of it. One of the things I got out of it is that the more you guys set clear expectations up front, but the more you guys are also asking that why, so that you knew, like Eileen knew that washer and dryer was probably more important to our clients than leaving the house a day early, and then delivered that with integrity, going, I'm not recommending this, it's your choice. So I felt like she did both of those things the right way. And it also had given her the opportunity to find out their motivation. They were more motivated about moving in a day early than they cared about the stinking washer and dryer that she was going to go out and buy. There was a story that they shared yesterday about an orange. And there's 2 chefs in the kitchen. The person that was supposed to purchase the food for prep failed to do their job. There's 1 orange sitting on the counter. Both of the chefs, one preparing a main dish, one preparing a dessert, needed an orange. And they spoke up and they said, I need that orange. No, I need that orange. And they simply cut it in half. And one only ended up needing the zest of the orange. One only needed the juice for the orange. But both of them needed the full orange and those pieces of the orange for their dish. But they never communicated. And they never got to the why. If they would have asked that why, they would have realized, hey, you zest the orange, I'll juice it, and we're good to go. So as simple of a story as that may sound, or as silly as it may sound, it really resonated with me on how important it is to continue to find out the why and the motivation. And it created a win-win opportunity for you and both clients, and everybody walked away feeling satisfied, and that's the goal in any negotiation. So kudos to you for digging a little deeper there.
Yeah, thanks for that orange story. That's really cool. And it's hard to find out sometimes the why, like you don't know what questions to ask. But that experience in my life was just like, you have to do the right thing. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it, because I think it'll destroy your career if you don't.
Yep. So another question that came in, what is your seminar topic? Is this your first seminar? And how often do you do it if it's not? And is it just you? Kind of give us an overview of your seminar.
Yeah, so I'm doing a seminar called How to Sell Your Parents' Home. And I'm doing it with a state attorney, and that's what it's about.
And where is the venue for that?
Yeah, it's at a senior living facility.
Okay.
So yeah, I have not done it before, but I've done plenty of things like this just with previous experience. So I'm really excited about it, and it'll just be I don't know, I guess I'm expecting probably 20, 25 people there, and I'll probably speak for about 20 minutes. The attorney will probably speak for about 20 minutes and answer questions. So yeah, again, that's not for everybody. Some people would hate that. They would say, oh, how do you do a seminar or whatever? This is like, oh, I don't want to do real estate unless I can do a seminar. You know.
You enjoy being in front of people and talking.
Yeah, this is going to be great.
And how are you promoting that then?
So,
obviously in your newsletter.
Well, yeah, it's in my newsletter. I guess I'll do some stuff on Facebook, but the facility, they need content.
So
they
you worked
want to
up
have
a partnership
classes.
with the facility for this seminar.
They're gonna get butts in the seats, as they say. So, yeah. And then I have a column too. And so I just, of course, I did my column for this month about how to sell your parents' home. And oh, by the way, there's a free seminar.
Eileen writes a real estate column for a local newspaper in Hershey. So another promotional venue that she worked up. How long have you been doing that now?
4 or 5 months.
And so again, a very somewhat subtle promotional item that she uses to get her name out there.
Yeah. And again, to my point, where you will use everything that you have done thus far in your life, that could have never come about for anybody else, really, because I have volunteered for the Historical Society, and part of that was to interface with the paper. And then through some church stuff, I have a great relationship with the newspaper. And so when I got into real estate, of course, it'd be like, well, I should. And so I presented, hey, let's go to Panera and talk with the. And so, like, Jen, as a real estate agent, probably couldn't have gone in there and said, I'd like to do a column. They'd be like, who the heck are you? And no. But they knew me, and he doesn't edit one single thing out of it. That's what floored me, too. The trust was literally so deep that I send him my article, and it is published as I send it.
And as I recall, the update was that it now has the largest following out of all their regular columns.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And again, that started, if I caught that correctly, by joining the local historical society, and that's where the connections built.
It was just being out there, being a person, just doing what I wanted to do. Literally anything you do in your life other than laying on the couch with the remote will be useful to you in your real estate life. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions, guys? I think we've hit all the questions that you typed into the chat box as we were going through here. I did have somebody ask, just to clarify, EBDM, that was, it's every door direct mail through the United States Post Office. I think that's it. Okay, let me know if you have any other questions. Eileen, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to kind of share your journey and what's working, what hasn't worked with all of us, to give us that opportunity to learn from you. I appreciate it. And congratulations and a big kudos on the awesome job that you're really doing throughout your first year in the business.
Well, thanks. And again, I'm just going to go back to, I couldn't have done it without you guys. It's been amazing, and I'm so thankful that I came to Home Sale Realty.
Wow, we're happy to have you.
Thanks.
And thanks, Bill, for moderating and kind of pulling all of those additional details out and helping her to highlight herself, which I know is hard sometimes. So I appreciate you guys tag teaming this today.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you all for attending.
Awesome. Have a great day, everybody.
All right, thanks.
You too.
See ya.